Hello everyone. Welcome to BizTalks. In today's episode, we are going to talk to Audric Serador, the founder of EllinEats and co-founder of Datapull. Datapull is a powerful lead engine designed to help you generate a tailored list of leads that include local businesses and e-commerce store based on your specific search criteria. In this episode, you will learn about what inspired Audric to start EllinEats, how he joined Datapull as a co-founder, his marketing plans and future goals. I hope you would really enjoy the show. Hi, Audric. Welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you for having me, Arun.
Yeah, good to see you again. Um, so we'll start now. Can you tell about your educational background and how do you develop interest for product development?
Yeah, so first off, let me introduce myself. My
Okay.
name is Audric. Um, I'm a sophomore at the University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign, majoring in
Okay.
computer science. So let me tell you a bit about my background, just educational background, not in the sense of maybe school, but more of just like my education as more of like a creator. So
Hmm.
as a kid, I always just loved just making stuff. I was always curious about just like the things around me. When I was a kid, I started just making crazy origami projects, just like recording just short films of like my stuffed animals on my DSI, just silly things like
Hmm.
that. Ever since I guess I was conscious,
Okay.
but I guess things started to really take off. I'd say once
Hmm.
my parents gave me a laptop around middle school, and that's when I
Hmm.
really fell in love with just like the internet and just the stuff that you could make on it. So that's when I started learning how to
Hmm.
code on Scratch. So just those like blocks that you drag around to like make a game or
Yeah.
like a fun piece of software. I started
Hmm.
doing things like making digital art. Started learning like
Okay.
scripting for to make games on Roblox. That
Hmm.
was like the craze back then, back in like 2015, 2016. And
Okay.
then yeah, eventually like software just became just my favorite form of leverage to just bring my ideas to life. And that
Hmm.
brings me here now to the University of Illinois, where now I'm just like working on various projects. I have a lot more ideas that I have in store, and it's a lot of fun. And I think going through that creative process over and over again definitely like kind of established that design head
Hmm.
that I have for my projects. So.
All right. Yeah. Can you tell a little bit about Lineages and the backstory of how you started it and why you started that? I know that you're not working actively on Lineages now because you have moved to Datapull. But for the benefit of the audience, would you be able to share the story?
Yeah, absolutely. And for anyone who doesn't know what EllinEats was the project that I launched at the University of Illinois students
Hmm.
that essentially helped students at the dining hall find any food that they want in the dining halls that's personalized and tailored to the dietary preferences, restrictions, and goals. So this started kind of like freshman year of college. So coming back from just like my creative educational background, I
Hmm.
when I entered college, I wanted to just work on an idea, partly because like I wanted a project to put on my resume, just because like that was like, oh, I gotta get a job as a CS major because the market's like so so saturated now.
Yes.
So freshman year of college, everybody, I was in the dining hall, and the thing is that everyone
Hmm.
has to be on a dining plan, in the dining hall, right? So that means
Right.
that um there's like so many like dining halls, but there's lots of food in the area, but only some food that they serve just could fit like just my dietary goals, especially as I
Hmm.
was like bulking at the time as a bodybuilder. And I noticed
Oh,
that a
okay.
lot of my vegetarian friends, like they were trying to do the same thing, but they couldn't
Hmm.
find the food that they want just because like there's first off, there's like I believe 4 or 5 dining halls, with like 2 dining
Hmm.
shops. Each of them have served like 50 food items, so it's really hard to just find that. And yeah, the biggest part of this problem is that like yeah, you could see what was being served in dining halls through one the Illinois
Hmm.
app and two the nutrition website that they gave you. But the thing is,
Hmm.
these two quote unquote solutions just didn't have the
Hmm.
best UX and just didn't personalize it for students. So even though they had
Hmm.
this app, they couldn't find the food that they want. Therefore, they were like they were staying hungry all day, which is never a good thing. So
Right.
I was like, I realized this problem, and I'm like, I came up with this idea to make this app. So what if like I could take that information from these two sources of information
Mm-hmm.
that people um, say that they can't find the food they want, and then I took that, put it in a database, and connected to an app where people could use and actually like find the food that they
Mm-hmm.
want. What if I displayed that in a way where um, it would be actually like be useful for them to, and convenient for them to actually find out where to eat and what to eat. So
Okay.
came up with this idea, and the thing is, like, the thing about it is, I actually didn't know. I had a little bit of a Python background, but I actually didn't know much about just about web development or web scraping before this. So
Mm-hmm.
I took the time. I was really excited about this idea, and um, I think around this time, just like tools like ChatGPT were starting to like become very popular. And something
Mm-hmm.
that I realized with ChatGPT is you can really like learn anything on it. Like it's a powerful educational tool that you can use to really supercharge just like not just like development, so like writing code using it, but also just like understanding just different topics that before you couldn't find unless you did like 100 Google searches. But thank God, like
Right.
that exists now. So took winter break to essentially learn Python libraries like Selenium to web scrape, and
Okay.
TypeScript to just learn how to build a web app with Next.js, learn how to use React,
Mm-hmm.
all of that stuff. Learn databases, database services, and the thing is, like nowadays, it's
Mm-hmm.
actually not that like hard to really make a web app. Like a lot of these like cloud providers, they already give you like the tools necessary to kind of just like make like make it, ship it, and deploy it. Um, Tools like Vercel, AWS, of course, and even like abstractions of AWS, like Supabase for database solutions, are now
Right.
popular, now making it super accessible for any developer to make an idea. So, learned this over
Right.
the winter break, and I eventually made a basic prototype where
Mm-hmm.
you would basically it was like the exact information on these apps except stored in just like a linear list so that people could almost like scroll through the food that they want, and
Mm-hmm.
along with that, there would be filters at the top so that they could actually like filter out the food that they want and just like find it right there. And then when they clicked on the button, there would be a feature where you could actually see the nutritional facts of the food, the
Mm-hmm.
allergens, any ingredients, if this is okay for you to eat, and so on and so forth. So launched at the beginning of the school year. Before that, actually, like accelerated the idea through the Build Space program, which I'll talk about later. But
Mm-hmm.
I launched it this year, and it actually
Mm-hmm.
blew up like crazy. I made a little poster, in
Mm-hmm.
Paint.net, printed it out, put it on like a pillar on the dining hall
Mm-hmm.
entrance, and I guess so everybody saw it. And in the first 2 weeks,
Right.
1,000 people were using it, which
Oh,
was
okay.
crazy. Like I've never had something blow up like that before. Um,
Right.
but unfortunately, like as 1,000 people are using your app, there are some little bugs and expensive things that come along the way. And I had to shut it down
Right.
because it got too expensive. And the school actually reached out to me, and because they had some concerns with just like
Right.
obviously like me redirecting people away from the Illinois app and a lot of like issues. But
Okay.
um, yeah, I mean, it was a fun
Sure.
little growth experiment, and it was definitely fun.
Yes. All right. Yeah. Thanks for that explanation. So, could you tell about that your other project where you're spending most of your time, Datapull?
Yeah. So I'm building Datapull with my co-founder Sage. So essentially, it's a sales software for businesses who are
Mm-hmm.
selling to other businesses, so selling B2B, to help them
Okay.
find and qualify their potential clients who are just most likely to buy their product or service. So
Mm-hmm.
let's say like I was a parts manufacturer selling to different auto repair shops. I was selling
Mm-hmm.
tools, but first, like if I want to find these shops to reach out to, well, obviously I need leads, I need businesses to reach out to who can have the
Mm-hmm.
budget for my product. And let's say I could only ship to X amount of locations or this specific
Mm-hmm.
location, stuff like
Mm-hmm.
that, to qualify clients. So
Mm-hmm.
basically, businesses would go on our platform, enter a description
Okay.
of literally any business that they want. They could
Mm-hmm.
describe their business, etc. There's a lot of ways to personalize it. And then from there, from that simple description, we can build you a list
Mhm.
of maybe 500 thousands of businesses across the United States or whatever location specific data that you request, and give you that list
Mhm.
of clients to reach out to and actually connect with your email automation service or customer relationship management service platform.
Okay.
And yeah, it's essentially what Datapull is. Been working on it so far.
All right. Okay. So during our call the other day, you mentioned that you joined Datapool as an engineer, and then you got promoted as a co-founder. And actually, that story was really inspiring, and it tells the value of taking ownership in any work that you do. Can you explain that story to our audience?
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, I that's right. Like I actually joined Datapull as an intern. I mean, the I joined Datapull as just like kind of more of like a last minute opportunity to just get an internship for the summer.
Mhm.
Especially like as a computer science student, everyone around me was like, "Oh, like I got an internship at this, that, and that," and I was
Mhm.
from the late ones where I was still applying, but I just couldn't get into anything. So I
Mhm.
was like, "Okay, I need to find any opportunity," and came across
Mhm.
this job posting on LinkedIn that was for Datapull. It was
Mhm.
originally called One Click Campaign before. That was the original name, but we pivoted later. But
Okay.
essentially, like I was just spam applying on LinkedIn, saw it, came across this one. I didn't even realize I
Mhm.
applied to it, but just out of pure, just like like pure chance, like I mean, they sent me an interview. I mean, I didn't realize that
Mhm.
it was actually just a student-based startup. I didn't know that before. I thought it was an actual company. So
Oh,
I treated it like
okay.
an actual interview. I was like, I have experience in
Mhm.
this, and that, and about this and all of that. And turns out
Mhm.
my experience exactly matched the tech stack of Datapull's like
Okay.
tech stack at the time. So I had that experience kind of perfectly matched. And he was like, "Yeah, you're on. Join us for the summer." And I'm like, "What?" It was like it was. I'm not gonna lie. I was a bit skeptical at first because like a lot of it was kind of like I don't know. I thought it was like a big company, but turns out
Mhm.
it was a student startup, and it was only 4 people on the team, right? So it was just
Mhm.
me, my co-founder now Sayuj, um, the a s- mo- an operations guy. He
Mhm.
has now left the firm, but he was there. His name is Audric,
Mhm.
and then
Mhm.
my another engineer that I was working with called Thomas. So team of 4,
Okay.
very small,
Mhm.
and all of us didn't really have much experience in building a company, so we were all just figuring out there. So this company was actually under the Iventure Accelerator program, which was like
Mhm.
the program here on campus, which I'll go on to explain later. But essentially,
Okay.
it was a lot of it's a lot of startups placed in student ran startups placed in kind of like a cohort in a room over the summer where we kind of like collaborated, did
Okay.
workshops and everything. And
Mhm.
I'm not gonna lie, the first few months were really rough. I mean, like development was like really intense for me. I'd
Mhm.
work like literally 60 hours a week at least
Okay.
just to like build this product out because like obviously like in
Mhm.
a startup, especially in a small team, you have to work really, really fast to ship this
Right.
out. And pivots are happening all the
Yes.
time. And the very demotivating part is the code that I wrote was often scrapped just because of the amount of pivots that we made. And this got
Oh,
honestly
wow.
really frustrating. But honestly, like
Mhm.
I couldn't like blame like my co-founder so huge just because like I mean I was an intern. I didn't really know much about entrepreneurship. I mean I was still learning through the program. So
Mhm.
it was hard, especially during that time. But as time went on, like obviously, like I learned more about entrepreneurship and iVenture. I after that, I kind of began taking just a bit more ownership of just my work. So I was like, okay, um, right now, like I'm an intern, I'm an engineer, I'm following instructions and doing it well. But the thing is, right, like
Mhm.
in in a startup, like you need to be like not just like an engineer, especially in such a small team. It's very important
Right.
to kind of just do you have a bird's eye view of the product and just not
Right.
code. So that's when I made kind of like that transition between more of just like an
Mhm.
intern engineer to more thinking like a technical entrepreneur. So
Mhm.
I started slowly voicing my opinions on the company, and I was like,
Mhm.
whenever like Sayush would like come up with like a suggestion, I would like give my opinion. Like I would be like, yeah, it's a great idea. Hey, it's not a good idea. Here's why. And I would like use my knowledge that I learned from just like working in a startup or working with startups, learn more about startups through online resources, to kind of
Mhm.
like say why this decision would not lead to like more customers, more users, while I was coding at the same time. So it was an
Right.
amazing learning experience, and
Mhm.
I guess like the lesson just from that, like I mean, I'm eventually like we pivoted so much, I became a co-founder. I wasn't
Mhm.
just an engineer. I was part of the team. I was part of the company that was making like good decisions. I mean, I guess like the lesson here is like, especially in a small team, and just like I would say, just don't be afraid to just give like voice your opinion, and just learn from other people. And I think the biggest
Right.
biggest factor that helped me learn so much about entrepreneurship in such a small time. I mean, I asked other
Mhm.
people around me, like, hey, like, what does this mean? What does that mean? I looked at online resources. I got clarification from Sayush himself about like why he was making the decisions he was making. And through this, like,
Mhm.
as I went on, I was able to actually like voice my opinion, make decisions in the company that led me to where I am now. So, um, yeah, just learn from others and just work together and co-create, um,
Yeah.
especially in a small team.
Yeah. That's great. That's great. How do you plan to market Datapull? Like, what kind of marketing strategies are you planning to follow to get acquire more users?
Mhm. Yeah, so for data pool, we have a couple of tricks up our sleeve to kind of like optimize just small things like SEO, because like for especially as a SaaS firm, it's very important to just have that for people looking for lead generation tools through Google.
Right.
So have a couple of tricks up our sleeve there. We actually plan to first run data pool as more of like a sales agency,
Mhm.
rather than just a standalone platform at first, just to
Mhm.
get customer testimonials and hopefully have them spread by word of mouth to other like business owners that they know, and hopefully like we can help them out as well, and hopefully like
Mhm.
through that we'll get enough like paying users, which
Mhm.
will not only like help us like it's marketing in itself, and we're also like generating revenue.
Mhm.
It's also like just a great marketing strategy, and of course, other typical things such as just like posting on social media, writing articles on the site to further boost our SEO, and
Mhm.
yeah, just like ads if you need to. I don't think we need that, but um, yeah, just typical marketing strategies for SaaS.
Okay. So, are you doing this marketing effort right on as the development progresses, or are you planning to take it slowly and then once you release the product, we'll be doing
Oh,
aggressive marketing?
yeah, yeah. So like I think actually like we actually this was actually we were actually like working with different businesses right now, even though we don't have a finished product. I think like a big mistake that we made and iVenture was first building out the entire product without even
Mhm.
like trying it with our users, right? Like
Okay.
we spent like 2 months building this whole platform over the summer, and then we found
Mhm.
out that like when we talked to these businesses, like, hey, like would you use this, or would you pay for this? They were like, I don't really know, not really. So I guess like
Mhm.
we're just kind of like starting just from like scratch almost, where um
Mhm.
I'm slowly, obviously every day I'm like putting out some code, developing the product, but at the same time, Sayuj is also like talking to users, saying like, hey, what data do you need? What leads do you need? So again, like starting as a small like sales agency, I kind of just like does
Mhm.
their lead gen for them and their sales for them. And then from
Mhm.
there, um, hopefully by like the people that we help, by just giving them just basic Excel sheets for to
Okay.
help with their sales, then we can start test using them to test our platform. So um,
Okay.
just small iteration cycles, I feel like is super
Mhm.
important. It's like build build something, launch it, test it with your users, talk to them, measure what
Right.
happened, and learn from that, and keep
Yes.
going and keep going and keep going.
So I see that you have raised the funds of around $30,000 for data pool. Are you
Mhm.
planning to raise more, or are you planning to? At what point are you planning to raise the next round?
Yeah, so the funding is like some half, I say like half of it is from like the Iventure Accelerator
Mm-hmm.
program, which is non-dilutive funding, and then the other 10K
Mm-hmm.
is from money that's usually raised back in India. for this. I believe I forgot what it's called, but it's another like program there for startup funding. But
Okay.
yeah, no, we're actually like not raising more money, and we actually don't plan to raise money in the future.
Mm-hmm.
We realize that like to build this platform actually doesn't cost us
Mm-hmm.
anything, right? So these cloud
Right.
platforms that we use, so like the Google Maps
Mm-hmm.
API, Amazon Web Services, Azure, Microsoft Azure, all of that, they have programs themselves to help fund startups for free. So they give you free
Mm-hmm.
credits if you join their program, and I
Mm-hmm.
think this is great for us because like we don't really have to use any money from our pockets to really test our platform and like even give it to like I'd say like the first 100 users would probably be like just cost free for us, and then we start paying.
Mm-hmm.
But at that point, we have the we have the leverage to actually pay for our back end at that point. So honestly, like we don't really, I don't think we ever need to fundraise. I believe
Okay.
Datapull plans to. I think it intends to stay as just like a SaaS business rather than just a startup. I feel like
Okay.
yeah, I feel like a misconception is like differentiating between just like a regular just like online business or like a tech
Mm-hmm.
startup. So like
Okay.
if I was making a product that was like super that like would require venture capital funding and it would and
Right.
have like amazing like profit margins but at first I would need the actual like capital to actually do it, such as just like a hard tech like startup, for example. And
Okay.
the thing is, with the profit margins for the lead generation market just aren't great. And I don't think that investors would really um, even like invest in us in the first place just because of how small the lead generation profit margins are. So, I mean, unless like
Mm-hmm.
we return 10x to them in like 2 years, I don't think it's the right move. So, definitely like
Okay.
something that I've come to learn as I learn more just about fundraising and just VCs.
All right. So, can you tell about the Iventure Accelerator program and how does it help Datapull on what areas they provide support?
Yeah, so the Iventure Accelerator is it's a program under the university for just top student startups like at the university who are looking to scale. So they
Mm-hmm.
give you $10,000 in non-dilutive funding,
Mm-hmm.
and they also give you another $10,000 spread across 4 people, just as a
Mm-hmm.
stipend to spend over the summer program. You could do whatever you want. In our case, we just put it back into the company.
Mm-hmm.
And in the program over the summer, you get a lot of like mentorship from seasoned entrepreneurs. You get access to a great
Mm-hmm.
network. So we go to Chicago for 2 weeks in total to kind of just like network with
Okay.
the people there and the
Okay.
university's network there. They actually have a building downtown. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and you have a lot of like workshops, like great people coming in every once in a while to just like give their advice on different aspects of a startup, such as like how do you like make a good brand, how do you market, how do you get past the challenges that an entrepreneur faces on a daily basis.
Mm-hmm.
Just like I learned so much from that. It was amazing. And also free food. We love free food. Um,
Oh, okay.
yeah, so like this is like it's pretty cool that like my university has like a program like this. So like
Okay.
this to the audience, like if you're a student, if you want to be a student founder or a student founder, just see if there's
Mm-hmm.
any resources like at your own school. Because like they actually want to help you a lot. I know it's like
Mm-hmm.
kind of a weird situation since like startup and college kind of almost don't really go hand in hand. But
Right.
like a lot of yeah, a lot of universities just have like resources like this that they'll give you just for free or if you apply. So yeah.
Okay. All right. So you mentioned about the Bill Space. There is another program called Bill Space.
Mhm.
So and that helped you build a lot of entrepreneurial knowledge. Can you tell about that program and how does it help to shape one's entrepreneurial skills?
Yeah. So yeah, that Bill Space definitely like played just a big part in just really shaping my entrepreneurial mindset. Unfortunately, the
Mm-hmm.
company did shut down recently.
Okay.
Uh,
Oh, okay.
but yeah, no, I was under their 6 week nights and week program called Nights and Weekends, where essentially like it's an
Mm-hmm.
online program, and each week you have a lecture in the lab, and
Mm-hmm.
you come up with an idea, and you just push it to production and like share it with the world, and hopefully like it uses it. So they give you small workshops and just like how do you market to your users, how do
Mm-hmm.
you how do you get feedback and iterate on your
Okay.
ideas? How do you talk and interview users and so on and so forth? So
Mm-hmm.
I participated in the program through
Mm-hmm.
me building ERs. Right now at the time I joined, it was just a prototype, but I wanted to push it to actual launch before the school started. So I joined this
Mm-hmm.
program, and I learned from this guy named Farza, and he basically led a lot of the workshops along with the Build Space team, and it was
Mm-hmm.
amazing. Like all of them had their own amazing insights to share, and my favorite thing about it is their whole vibe is super friendly, super casual. So it wasn't just like student founders that were in this program; it was also like
Mm-hmm.
artists, creatives, people like content creators. So they gave this framework to iterate on your ideas that can apply to literally like anything creative, which is like great. So at
Okay.
the end of the 6-week program, I've
Mm-hmm.
took a big leap and flew to San Francisco for a 3-day IRL event finale for the program.
Oh,
And over
okay.
there, it was, I'd say, like probably one of the best experiences of my life. I met so many cool people, got really
Mm-hmm.
cool merch, and just like connected with like so many like just dreamers around the world who just start building their own thing. Um, and it's really cool because everybody had their own story of how they like came across this product, and a lot of them were actually really good ideas. Like, I think one of them was
Right.
like they were making this like brainwave like machine where like
Oh,
you put on
okay.
this thing, you put on this like little helmet, and it scans
Okay.
your brainwaves and makes an NFT token out of it, which is pretty cool.
Oh.
It's pretty interesting. Apparently, that's unique to
Mm-hmm.
each person. So yeah, no, Build Space definitely like just gave me that like entrepreneurial mindset, creative mindset, more of to really push your line needs forward to launch, and that's the reason for the
Mm-hmm.
success. And also just like help me apply it to Datapull and really just
Okay.
future like projects. So yeah, biggest thing it taught me was really just like how to talk to users and how to actually like iterate on
Mm-hmm.
ideas to make it better.
All right. Yeah, that's great. Yeah. So let's move on to some general questions. So what is your favorite programming language and why?
I mean, I have to say Python. I mean, it was my
Okay.
first Python was my first programming language. It
Okay.
was just honestly super easy to learn, easiest language to learn. But the thing is, like,
Right.
you can do so much with it, right? Like, you can host web apps, you can scrape the web, you can build AI, of course, and you can even like host
Right.
mobile games, build Discord bots. There's so much you could do with the language, and it's like
Uh-huh.
super simple. It's almost like English. So, um, yeah, like easiest to learn, high returns. Like, it's just overall my favorite.
All right. So you're a student and you're working on a startup. You said you're working sometimes for 60 hours a week, and you need to complete your course and then get a degree. So it takes a lot of effort. So what motivates you on a daily basis to go through all these things?
Yeah, that's a really good question. Really, honestly, I've been prioritizing more product development rather than like my actual classes, if I'm being honest. But like,
Okay.
if I'm being honest, like I feel like I don't really like need you don't need the motivation to like get going if like the work
Right.
itself is enjoyable. Like, yes, I'm working like 60 hours a week building data pool over the summer, but every single hour, even though there were a lot of challenges, like it's just I just had love for the game. Like I just love making things, putting it to life, sharing it with others. I mean, like I told you like about my story as just like growing up, just making things and sharing it to people. That was just
Right.
like that was just a joy that I had. So just like
Hmm.
up to this day, like that is still like something that I want to do. So for school, yes, like I'm doing school, but I guess like really depending on the field that you're going to, it's like I would say that just like really think about just like um it's what you want to like really do. Like for me, like I would do this all day, um and the great best thing about this is like I can make good money off of it, and that's something that doesn't really, I would say, require like a degree. So it's more of
Hmm.
just like I think passion is so much more powerful than just like being discipline, motivation, although those are very important themselves. Just very important
Right.
to like learn, especially in hard times. Like no matter what, if you love what you're doing, like you can get through anything, you can do anything. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's why get going?
Right, right. Yeah, that's great. What is your favorite non-fictional book that you want to share with our audience?
Um, right now I'm reading this book called Brave Together, by
Mm-hmm.
Chris Stever, Ian Clausen,
Mm-hmm.
and
Okay.
this was actually a book that I just like got by the authors themselves at this tech conference in Indianapolis.
Mm-hmm.
They were like
Okay.
at a stand, they were giving out free books and signing it, and it's actually a really good book. So essentially, it kind of outlines just like the modern workplace culture. So like
Mm-hmm.
where there's like the whole hierarchy like of like a CEO and the boss and like the manager, employee, and all of that. And it kind of
Mm-hmm.
outlines just like the problems with that and how it can create like a negative and controlling environment that's based off of fear. So the book is kind of like labels out that problem and also and kind of helps the reader shift that perspective from
Mm-hmm.
living in an environment of fear to living in an environment of like co-creation. So
Mm-hmm.
these guys, the authors, they actually like went to, they worked at like they were HR. They worked at HR for Apple and Disney, and the people
Okay.
working there that hired them were like, "Okay, our workplace culture sucks. Come and make it better."
Mm-hmm.
So what I really
Okay.
like is like I remember this quote. They kind of like changed the ideology of Apple's like phrase "think different" to working different together. So
Mm-hmm.
kind of just like encouraging people to be super open about their ideas, just like honestly like work together to like create a understand like everybody's goals is the same. There doesn't need to be like an environment of fear and understand that everybody has value to provide, and instead
Mm-hmm.
of like cultivating an environment of pure performance, you can
Okay.
cultivate an environment of creativity, and that's where like real innovation shines in companies. So definitely a helpful book for anyone who aspires to just be just a leader in general,
Okay.
or who are like an employee themselves working in just like any industry, and how you can
Mm-hmm.
cultivate an environment, how you can avoid being in an environment and knowing like your worth and all of that. So highly recommend,
All
even though I
right.
haven't finished it.
What is your most favorite productivity tool or productivity hack?
Um, there's a lot, but I'll mention the
Mm-hmm.
one at the top of my head. So, recently, like, um, right now I actually like have an office. Just like in,
Mm-hmm.
it's actually just so you use this apartment room. You just put two desks in it. But
Mm-hmm.
honestly, like, greatest like productivity hack. One of the best
Mm-hmm.
that I've seen results in. Is just working in like varying places around the day, like just throughout the day. So like
Okay.
every 2 hours, like, I would go to a coffee shop, or then I would switch up, work there for 2 hours, and then go to the apartment, and then and then after that, go to, like, just a building on campus that's just a new environment, and I
Okay.
I think it's, like, kind of helps me, like, not feel stuck in because I know, like, working on a computer is very, like, soul-sucking in a way,
Right.
even though it is, like, fun, and
Sure.
it's just, like, good I think it's just, like, good for, like, your well-being to just, like, be in new environments, be out and about
Mm-hmm.
and that, like, exercising by just, like, walking around, and
Mm-hmm.
I feel I'm, like, a biggest proponent of, like, if you're in just, like, a good, happy state of mind, you
Mm-hmm.
just get more work done, like, naturally, so,
Right.
it's like having
Yes.
that good entering that workflow, just,
Mm-hmm.
like, in a having a calm mind in that calm and happy mind, I mean, you're inevitably just gonna get more work done just because you don't have that negativity in your head.
Right. Yes. All right. What is your favorite hobby or leisure time activity that you have?
So like I like to box, like powerlift. But honestly, one
Oh.
is that has been like just like this really beneficial for my mental health is just exploring nature. Like again, like
Uh-huh.
as a computer scientist, like it's just like software engineering like, on your computer all day is kind of like tiring. Just staring at a
Mm-hmm.
screen is just not good for your body. Like we were just never made to actually just sit in front of a screen. So it's always nice to
Right.
kind of just like go outside and enjoy just like like things around you. So what I used to do as a kid a lot is like after school, I literally go on my bike, um,
Mm-hmm.
knock on my neighbor's door and say, "Hey, let's go like explore." And we just go 5 miles in a random direction, and kind of just like
Mm-hmm.
explore just like nature and kind of appreciate just like the small things, like oh, this like plant by the bridge has always been cooler. So
Right.
it's just something like that.
Okay.
It's a breath of fresh air, and honestly, like for anyone working just like a desk job,
Yes. Yeah.
it's probably the best things you can do for yourself, honestly.
Okay. All right, Alric. I think we have come to the end of the show. It was a pleasure talking to you. I'm sure the audience who are
You.
listening to this, watching this, would be very interested to watch this interview.
Mhm.
So if they wanted to learn more about Datapull, I'll provide the link of the website in the description. So once Datapull is released, they can just try it out. Um,
Yes, I would love your feedback. If you are a small business owner who are selling to e-commerce or any just like local business, come talk to us.
right.
But yeah, no, thank you so much
Definitely.
for having me on. I really appreciate you inviting me here. Just like
Yeah.
helping just talk to like just the next generation of builders. Like it's
Right.
great. It's great.
Thanks for taking time to talk to us, and we wish you all success in all the future endeavors.
Thank
Thanks,
you. I
Audrey.
appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you
Yeah.
so much.
Thanks. Yeah. Thank you.